Honourable members, shall we pray? Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favour upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic, endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labours of government this land and people may be well and truly served, and thy good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the wills of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the effort of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honourable members, we don't have any message from the President, neither do we have any communication from the Speaker. So we turn to item 4 in today's order paper. Item 4, correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We will begin from page 1 of votes and proceedings. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page number 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page number 11. Page 12. Page 13. And finally, page 14. Honourable members, in the absence of any corrections, the votes and proceedings of Friday, 16 June 2023 is hereby adopted as the true records of proceedings. Before we begin with today's proceedings, let me use this opportunity to welcome our brothers from American Institute for Resource and Human Resource Development, led by Professor Fredolin O. Anodbi, who happens to be in the country and are paying a visit to Parliament. We acknowledge you and welcome you to Ghana and to the Parliament of Ghana. Yes, leader.
Speaker, may I seek your indulgence? Come under order 52(2) for us to provide order of business, and for very good reasons. Then commence public business. Lay papers, after which we can take the questions. I'm told the answers are still being printed. And so we'll commence public business and take item 7A all the way to E. Speaker, with your leave.
Well.
All right, Honorable Speaker, we do not have any objection to that. The only problem is I can't see enough of the ministers here, or many of the ministers here, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But we don't have any fundamental objection to that.
Well. The leave is granted. Minister, understand your answers are not available.
Mr. Speaker, the responses are available, but they are printing them now. In the meantime, we can do the presentation of these papers as requested by the Chief Whip for the majority.
Well. So, Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
The Speaker will deal with the first one by the Finance Minister. So I would seek your indulgence to present the paper on behalf of the Minister of Finance. No, the presentation of the paper.
Yes, fine.
Mr. Speaker, I can see the leader making an application to lay the paper on behalf of the Finance Minister. I know he's a former Finance Minister, but at least you should tell us where the current Finance Minister is, why he's laying the paper on his behalf.
Well, yes.
Speaker, the officials of the World Bank and IMF are here. They need to be having further consultations. So the minister is preoccupied with those.
Yes, Minister. Majority Leader may do that. You might do so.
Financing agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance and the International Fund for Agricultural Development, for an amount of $52,500,000 United States dollars, made up of blended loan of $35,175,000 United States dollars and highly concessional loan of $17,325,000 United States dollars to finance the Promoting Rural Opportunities, Sustainable Profits and Environmental Resilience project.
Honorable members, the agreement has been duly presented. It is referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report. I am directing that the leadership of Committee on Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs may join the Finance Committee. 7B by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
Budget performance reports in respect of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources for the period January to December 2022.
Honourable members, the report has been duly presented. It is referred to the Committee on Lands and Forestry for consideration and report. We turn to 7C. Do you have Minister for Youth and Sports?
Speaker, the Minister is engaged outside the chamber. I respectfully to seek your indulgence in that of the House to allow the Minister responsible for Lands and Natural Resources to do the presentation of these documents on behalf of the other ministers, Youth and Sports, Communications and Digitalization, and the Minister for Transport.
Very well. Leave granted.
Budget performance report of the Ministry of Youth and Sports for the period January to December 2022.
Honourable members, the report has been duly presented. It is referred to the Committee on Youth, Sports and Culture for consideration and report. Let's move to 7D by the Minister for Communications.
Annual statement by the Audit Committee of the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization for the year 2022.
Honourable members, the report has been duly presented. It is referred to the Committee on Communications for consideration and report. 7E by the Minister for Transport.
Annual report of the National Road Safety Authority for the year 2021. Annual report for the National Road Safety Authority for the year 2022.
Why?
Mr. Speaker, you mentioned 7E Roman 1, and the Minister for Lands duly laid the paper. You didn't mention 7E Roman 2, for which the clerk read the paper. So I think the writing ought to be done, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. I thought we were taking them together. So all the reports are being referred to the Committee on Roads and Transport for consideration and report. So I consider that they've been taken together. Honourable members, let me bring you back to item 2 in today's order paper. Item 2, message from the President. We have received a message from the President. He's traveling outside the country now. So I read the message. In accordance with Article 59 of the Constitution, I write to inform you that I will be traveling outside the country in the afternoon of Monday, 19 June 2023, to Cordoba, Spain, at the joint invitation of the King of Spain, His Majesty Felipe Juan Pablo Afonso the Sixth, and King of Jordan, His Majesty Abdullah II bin Al Hussein, to participate in the Aqaba process meeting of West Africa and the Sahel, scheduled to be held on 20th June 2023 at Cordoba. Therefore, I will travel to Paris, France, at the invitation. Thereafter, I will travel to Paris, France, at the invitation of the French President, His Excellency Emmanuel Macron, to participate in the Summit for a New Global Financial Pact to be held from 22nd to 23rd June 2023. I will proceed to London, United Kingdom, on 23rd June 2023 for a private visit and return to Ghana on Saturday, 24th June 2023. During my absence, the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Baumia, shall, in accordance with Article 68 of the Constitution, act in my stead. Yours sincerely, Nana Ado Dankwa Ekufu Ado. Yes. Leader, can you now take the questions?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the questions will be responded to in due time. Mr. Speaker, this thing has often Mr. Speaker, I was just saying that often we listen to such communication from the Office of the President. The relevant provision in the Constitution is to this effect, that whenever the President is absent from Ghana or is for any other reason unable to perform the functions of his office, Mr. Speaker, it presupposes that if the President is absent from Ghana, he is unable to perform the functions of the President, which we all do know is incorrect. Mr. Speaker, so when you come to 11, it provides that where the President and the Vice President are both unable to perform the functions of the President, the Speaker of Parliament shall perform those functions until the President or the Vice President is able to perform those functions. The critical issue is mere traveling outside the jurisdiction. Does that amount to inability to perform the functions of the office of the President? It doesn't. The Speaker, in any event, he is there as the President of the Republic and is performing the functions of his office. How can anybody construe that to mean that he is not able to perform the functions of the office of the President? Mr. Speaker, so I disagree with the concept.
Honourable members, please, let's give him attention. If you have any contrary view, you will be given the opportunity to also air your view. Please, let's listen to him.
Mr. Speaker, that is a very good directive to the choristers behind. You are not supporting me. You are singing a different tune. I could hear from you. Mr. Speaker, so I'm saying that I don't think that mere absence from the jurisdiction should be construed to mean that the President is not able to perform the functions of his office. He leaves to the United Nations to attend conferences as the President of the Republic. How can anybody construe that to mean that the mere fact that he's outside amounts to inability to perform the functions of his office? When he's there, recognizably as the President of the Republic and is performing the functions of the office of the President. And I think that, Mr. Speaker, it should be part of our engagement. It's the reason why some of us are proposing a holistic review of this Constitution. Because there are so many things that really, come to think of it, are incongruous with reality. The President's absence from the Republic does not mean, if it is maybe for medical reasons, his travels outside, he's not able to perform his functions for the time being, maybe lasting 2-3 days. That then could lend credence to this provision. But if he goes to perform the functions of his office, in his capacity as a president, and you swear in a new president, an acting president, in other words, then you're having two presidents operating concurrently. And that is not what is envisaged by the Constitution. So I think that as a House, we should apply ourselves critically to this, and then the Speaker make the necessary modifications to this. Unfortunately, Article 60 is part of the entrenched provisions. So even if you want to tinker with it, you must conduct a referendum. And I'm saying that it may be important for us to further engage on this and also respond positively to the call for us to have a holistic review of our Constitution. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Very well. Honorable Leader, I think when you look at Article 59, the impulse of informing Parliament and by extension the whole nation is just to inform Parliament that he is traveling outside. The Constitution is not talking about the fact that he cannot function, that's why he's outside. When you look at Article 59, it is explicit that the President can never travel outside the jurisdiction without informing Parliament and by extension the whole country. I think the import of this letter or communication is just to inform us that he's outside the country. Anyway, let me go to Honorable Member for Kankwe Central before I come to
Mr. Speaker, I disagree with the Majority Leader respectfully. And let me refer you to Article 68. Yes. So whenever the President is absent from Ghana or is for any other reason unable to perform the functions of his office, the Vice President shall perform the functions of the President until the President returns or is able to perform those functions. And you read Article 59, absent from Ghana. And it says that the President shall not leave Ghana without prior notification in writing, signed by him and addressed to the Speaker of Parliament. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Article 130 on the interpretation and enforcement of the Constitution. These provisions, among other provisions of the Constitution, has been tested at the Supreme Court in the Samolata Mensah and Professor Kweku Asari versus the Attorney General. At the Supreme Court, at the highest court, and the decision of the court was that any time the President was absent from the jurisdiction, the Vice President must act, which is clear. In his absence, the Speaker. And the Supreme Court went ahead to state that the Speaker must subscribe to both oaths as provided for under the Constitution. So it is very clear from our laws that any time that the President is unable, because the Constitution does not anticipate any vacuum, anticipate any vacuum. I know there's no vacuum. Let me go back. That the office of the President ought to create. In this instance, there's no vacuum. The President has traveled. We have a Vice President. He's going to act. He's going to perform all those functions. But in this instance, he's not subscribing to those oaths that I mentioned too. Because it's been done. You see, at the swearing of the President, that was done. But if the Speaker, in the case that both the President and Vice are out, will have to subscribe to those oaths. So there are two different scenarios, and the Supreme Court has determined that. So there is no ambiguity, as the Majority Leader is saying, that it's incongruous, and there's a problem with it.
Well. Let me come to member for Aswasi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, well, the argument by Majority Leader, I think the first leg you have settled it with Article 59. And I think that there's no contention as to whether it is for his inability to perform. That's why he must inform Parliament. No. Article 59 is very clear. It is just to inform the country that he's stepping outside the jurisdiction of the country. And I think there's no argument about that. I think the argument with the Majority Leader, unfortunately my colleague Patrick Boama was overstretching it. I don't think Majority Leader was arguing that there's ambiguity in the law. He's of the view that we must amend the Constitution so that we take into cognizance the current technological advancement. You remember very well that in 1992, when we started this Fourth Republic, we didn't have this sophistication in gadgets, where you can have Zoom, you can chair meetings wherever you are, you can communicate, you can sign documents and immediately wire them back home, and all that were not there. But all I wanted to draw the Majority Leader's attention is this. As he is very much aware, three things governs what we do in this House. First is the 1992 Constitution, which is explicitly stated. Second is our standing orders. And the most important thing is our practices. How have we practiced these things over the years? And you agree with me, yes, even though you've been doing something for 1,000 years, if there's a need to change it, you have to make the necessary steps to change it. But for now, until we are able to amend the Constitution, you will not be able to make the kind of argument that he's making, because, I mean, in our country, ours is even better. I mean, he's very much aware in the case of Nigeria. It's worse. It's worse because the president must sign to hand over to a vice president. And there was this crisis when President Yaradua was seriously sick and he could not sign. And good luck, Jonathan will not be acting. Ours is a little easier because it's supposed to inform the speaker, and then all the other things will subsequently happen. And Mr. Speaker, Honorable Majority Leader will remember during I think the state parliament, where there were a number of travels, and Right Speaker Dua Ajao took the oath once and thought that once I'm taking the oath, it can last. All the issues that came, said no. Each time, even if you do it today and tomorrow he comes and the next day he leaves, you have to still do it again. So the practices are very, very important and we must guide them. But when it comes to a constitutional amendment, Majority Leader, you and I, graciously, you have stayed in this house longer than almost as we speak in this chamber. It's only Honorable Avoka who can match you as long as you stayed in this house. You remember very well the Constitutional Amendment Commission, the work that they have done. I keep asking, what is preventing us as a country from implementing the recommendations? Because since the state parliament, since 2013, we have virtually iced it. And all of us keep talking about the constitutional amendment. Yet a lot of work has been done. It is just to implement and finish it. And we've left it hanging. And yet all of us keep complaining about it. Are we anticipating another all over a fresh amendment? Because remember what they did was very extensive. They moved region by region. I mean, the document is very voluminous. Let's take steps to make a lot of changes, because, Mr. Speaker, I have said, with a greater respect, that the 1992 Constitution that we currently have simply helps us to elect a dictator. Because if you look at the Constitution, all it does is to create a monster president who is a superhuman being, who does almost everything. And a lot of those checks had to be corrected. Because what we are doing the Constitution that we created simply creates a super, we give so much power to the president. Mr. Speaker, without diverting the crux of the argument, we all know that in a presidential system, two other things must follow it. One is checks and balance. You and I know that is something that is very difficult for us to do for the last 30 years. we need to really take advantage and amend the constitution, among other things that the president, the majority leader is saying. Because currently, Mr. Speaker, there are a number of members of parliament who are on parliamentary trips. But if they do not seek, leave of absence, written, they will be marked absent. All these things are part of the issue, because now with technology, you can follow this proceeding, how we speak. Other members who are on official trips outside can be following the proceedings. In fact, we even have gadgets where they will be able to contribute to what we are debating. Yet, we make it a norm that when we started in 1992, there was no WhatsApp, there was no Zoom, there was no strong internet connectivity. 30 years down the line, where we have all these advancements, we should continue to behave as if we are still living in yesterday, where all this advancement is no longer there. I think we need to make our constitution a living one, so that it will be able to stand the test of changes as it happens. So I agree with him, we must make those things. But for now, that until those constitutional amendments are done, I think that we need to stick to our the provisions of the constitution and our practices until there is the need, sincerely, to make amends. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute.
Thank you very much. I'll take Honorable, then I'll come to you. Then you close the chapter. Yes, Honorable Samuel Bujanfo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to contribute to this very useful engagement and discussion. Mr. Speaker, I want to draw the House's attention to the provisions which have already been articulated, which is Article 59 and Article 68. And Mr. Speaker, I want to submit that, respectfully, I don't find any ambiguity whatsoever in Article 60, Article 59, and Article 68. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, Article 59. Article 59 states, the President shall not leave Ghana without prior notification in writing, signed by him and addressed to the Speaker of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the first submission I want to make is that this article is speaking to a completely different matter. It's talking about the legal creature of the President leaving Ghana and the requirements imposed on the President to inform Parliament in writing when he leaves the country. Mr. Speaker, I will suspect that the framers of the Constitution deliberately gave this instruction in one article different from Article 60, who talks about who acts when the President leaves the country. So the first submission I want to make is that Article 59 is a different dictate completely by the framers of the Constitution, which is the President leaving the country and what he ought to do. When he has to leave the country, he has to inform Parliament. It must be in writing. Mr. Speaker, then Article 68, and Article 68 reads, whenever the President is absent from Ghana or is for any other reason unable to perform the functions of his office, the Vice President shall perform the functions of the President until the President returns or is able to perform his functions. Mr. Speaker, I want to draw your attention and the House's attention to two very important operative words, the or. The or is repeated twice. The or is repeated when the President is absent from Ghana or is for any other reason unable to perform his function. Then, Mr. Speaker, the or is repeated again when it says the President until the President returns or is able to perform his functions. Mr. Speaker, or in law is disjunctive. It's not conjunctive. It means there are two separate things. So what the Constitution simply says is that when the President is absent from Ghana or he's unable to perform the functions of his office, the Vice President shall act. And that the Vice President shall cease to act only when he's present in Ghana or is able to perform the functions of his office. So, Speaker, I think respectfully, most respectfully, the confusion which has arisen, and perhaps the confusion in the mind of my revered, respected majority leader. Revered majority. Mr. Speaker, is that he is merging unable to perform functions and leaving office. And as I submit, Mr. Speaker, once the framers of the Constitution use the word "or," it means they are disjunctive. They are supposed to be separated. If the Constitution has said "and," then it's conjunctive. Then the president must leave office and is unable to perform the functions of his office before the vice president will be called in to act in his stead. In this case of Article 68, it uses the very important fundamental operative word "or," which is disjunctive. So the vice president, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the vice president can act only on two occasions. One, when the president is absent from the jurisdiction. Two is when the president is unable to perform his functions. And when he is unable to perform, the Constitution goes further to spell out the circumstance under which he will be unable to perform the functions of his office. There is no ambiguity, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
I'll give the last slot. Leader, I'll give the last slot to...
Mr. Speaker,
it appears today we are doing
Mr.
interpretation.
Speaker, the majority leader is absolutely right.
Hey,
He's absolutely right, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, the letter you read is premised on Article 59, which is to say that the president is informing Parliament, I'm out of the country. But if you read 68, the question he's asking is this: does the mere absence of the president, who is fit and able to do his job, a mere absence from the country, suggest that he's unable to perform his functions? And the answer is absolutely no. The president is still performing his function. Mr. Speaker, my colleague said that, look, there's only one occasion on which the vice president will take an oath to be president. That is when the president dies or the president has been removed from office. Until that time, the president is still the president. So what the majority leader is calling for is this: that the ritual where the physical absence of the president from the jurisdiction suggests that he's unable to perform his function is an anomaly, Mr. Speaker. In any case, are we saying that if this afternoon the vice president issues a directive and the president doesn't like it, the president is not capable of overturning that and giving a counter directive? We don't have two presidents. We have one president. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to look at this when the constitutional amendment is going to take place. Indeed, Article 59 and 68 appear to be conflicting. And indeed, when the president is out of the jurisdiction, it doesn't mean that he's unable to perform his function as a president. It's different from saying that an oath should be taken. I think president should stop the letter when they inform Parliament under Article 59. They shouldn't go on be saying anything else, because the addition of the vice president would act in his state is the one that is causing this problem. He informed Parliament that he's out of the jurisdiction. He said the president, we don't have two presidents, and the vice president is not actually an acting president as we speak, because we have a president that is active, Mr. Speaker. That's my view.
Very well. We are. Anyway, you. No, I'm not inviting any other person. I will just give. Who is right?
Mr. Speaker, my brother Abu is right on this matter. The absence as used in the Constitution is not about absence from office. It's not about absence from office. That is the first scenario. So he's right in stating that there are two scenarios that the vice president will be called upon to act. And the second scenario, which is inability to perform, that one too is for an interim purposes. Where there's a scenario that he cannot perform at all, then the provision stated in the Constitution will be sprung back to life. So, my brother, the lawyer, is right. on the interpretation placed on this matter. Oh, the two leaders are wrong on this matter, Mr. Speaker. They are wrong.
Leader, but Honorable Buama has just sent me a message that this matter has been settled by the Supreme Court.
Mr. Speaker, I told my colleague, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, that ab initio he was wrong, even before he started. Mr. Speaker, please look at the Constitution. Look at the wording. Mr. Speaker, Article 68 is simple. Mr. Speaker, it provides, whenever the president is absent from Ghana, we do appreciate that there are two legs which would occasion the vice president acting. One is absence. The other one is inability to perform the functions of his office. Mr. Speaker, the reason I'm telling them that they are totally wrong, and that band has also been joined by the Honorable Dafemoko. All of them are on a mission impossible. In fact, Mr. Speaker, they require a rescue mission to salvage them because they are totally wrong. Mr. Speaker, the language of the Constitution, they should listen carefully, is that whenever the president is absent from Ghana or is for any other reason, it didn't say for a reason is unable to perform his function. It says for any other reason unable to perform his function. The Speaker, the presumption, the necessary implication is that when he's absent, he cannot perform his functions. The Speaker, this is grammar. This is English language. Mr. Speaker, they are totally wrong in the understanding of this. They are totally wrong. Mr. Speaker, they are totally wrong. Mr. Speaker, so it is the reason why when you come to 11 then amplifies it. It says that when the president and the vice president are both unable to perform the functions of the president, because that inability has been established in 68. When it comes to 11, it says when they are unable to perform their functions. Mr. Speaker, is the reason why then we talk about this. It didn't say when they are out of the jurisdiction, but we do know that whenever the Speaker has acted, the President will be absent from the country, the Vice President will be absent from the country, and they are construed to mean that they are unable to perform their functions, which is what occasions the Speaker to act as the President. Mr. Speaker, so if you look at 58, traveling outside is construed as inability to perform their function. When does the Speaker act as the President? When the two are outside the jurisdiction. And then 11 will tell you that they are unable to perform the function. That is what the Speaker is calling. The Speaker, I believe we should shut the door at this. The Speaker, they are totally wrong. That's why I'm saying that we should have a review. We should have a review of the Constitution to settle this matter. I thank you.
Well. Honorable members, all those people who are contributing didn't take part in the consultative assembly. We have somebody who was part of the consultative assembly who drafted the Constitution. So let's also listen to him. Honorable Kretus Abuka, let's hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, my majority leader and minority chief whip are misleading the House as far as the interpretation of the Constitution is concerned. I took part in drafting this Constitution and then this paragraph. I was called to the bar in 1978, before 1992 the Constitution came into power. So not as a cadre, but as a lawyer that I came here. Mr. Speaker, I think that Article 68 is very clear and simple. We do not need to import ambiguities and then douse into it. It specifies two things. One, if the president is physically absent in the country, then the vice president is enlarged and supposed to act. On the other hand, if he is in the country, but for one reason or another, he cannot perform the function of president, then the vice president can act. You don't need to import other misunderstandings to this provision at all. It is unnecessary. It is pedantic. And you have been verbose. So I think that the interpretation given by the Honourable Minister for Lands and Forestry, and my very good friend Roxin there, is that while the president is outside, the vice president is in acting position. He's the acting president. That is not the issue. What he is doing there, what the reason for going out, leaving the jurisdiction of the country, is not an issue. What the fact is that he is physically outside the country, and that is what 68 is talking about. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that the minister is correct. The Honourable Minister for Lands and Forestry and MP for Damango is correct. And then we should limit ourselves to this ordinary interpretation of the Constitution, this simple interpretation of the Constitution, that the president is physically outside the country, the vice president acts. If the president were here and is not capable of doing the work, the vice president acts. Simple. Any other interpretation is absurd and then misconstrued. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now you bring to a close this particular chapter. We will revisit it one day. We will revisit this issue one day. So, yes, Honorable Majority Whip.
We have earlier come under Order 53. 52, I think, vary the order of business. Shall we revert to item 5, question time?
Honourable members, let me invite you to page 2, item listed 5 questions. Honourable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, you take your appropriate seat. Honourable members, we have 10 questions for the minister. 10 questions. The directive is that if the question is a constituency specific, we are not going to pass on any supplementary question to any other member if it is constituency specific. I hope you bear with me. Very well. So you begin with question 1117. 1117. And the question stands in the name of a member for Impoho. Honorable John Kobina Aban Abua Sani. Is Sani not around?
Mr. Speaker, with your leave, I rise to ask a question on behalf of Honorable John.
Honorable Leader, I haven't permitted you.
Again.
I haven't granted that. So on what grounds are you coming?
He is attending to constituency business and has asked that I ask a question on his behalf.
On what grounds, based on our standing orders? That
68-3.
Order 68-3.
Very well, Leader. Let's hear you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
But honourable members, we are all learning. So when I ask that, upon what grounds is she coming, don't take it that I'm personally attacking her. No. So we are all learning. I think last week this issue came up, and we advised ourselves that if the owner of the question is not here, the one who is asking the question on behalf of the owner should have even sought permission, prior permission, as per our standing order 68.3. So, Honorable Leader, you may ask the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources about the plans being taken by the Ministry to tackle the wanton destruction of cocoa farms, especially in the Wassa, Fiase, and Wassa Amenfi areas by illegal miners from their activities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, first of all, permit me to reiterate the mandate under the ministry, which is to ensure the sustainable and efficient management of the lands and natural resources of our country. Mr. Speaker, in line with this mandate, the ministry develops policy, legislative and regulatory framework for the management and utilization of our natural resources. Except for the regulatory enforcement undertaken by the Minerals Commission, enforcement of these laws, including dealing with illegal mining activities, is within the remit of the security agencies as established by law. Nonetheless, Mr. Speaker, since assuming office in 2021 in partnership with other state agencies, the ministry, under the leadership of President Akufo-Addo, has employed a two-pronged approach to clamp down on illegal mining activities across the country. That is law enforcement and reformation of the sector. These include the revamping of the community mining schemes, the introduction of the mercury-free gold processing equipment known as the gold catcher, the launch of the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program to provide alternative sources of livelihood to those engaged in illegal and unsustainable mining practices, the retooling of the Inspectorate Division of the Minerals Commission, and recruitment of more mine inspectors to enforce mining regulations, as well as the establishment of small-scale mining committees in accordance with Section 92 of the Minerals and Mining Act 206, Act 703. Mr. Speaker, specifically in respect of the Wassa areas, in Wassa Amenfi, we have launched a community mining scheme in Afransi in the Wassa Amenfi East Municipality, and in Wassa Fiase, 2 schemes have been launched in Akon in the Takwa in Suyen Municipality and Abosu in the Pristia Huni Valley Municipality to engage the youth in legal and responsible small-scale mining and prevent the destruction of cocoa farms. About 14 other community mining schemes are scheduled to be commissioned in the coming days in Adjewoso and Kedadwen in the Takwa in Suyen Municipality, Adamanso, Mansiso, and Sushenso in the Wassa Amenfi East Municipality, and Kase and Sunyameye, Ayem, and Hiawa in the Wassa Amenfi Central District, and Adasi, Afriye Krom, Breman, Amuaman, and Ankani in the Wassa Amenfi West Municipality. As part of measures to promote responsible small-scale mining, 10 blocked-out areas in Wassa Amenfi East, 6 in Wassa Amenfi West, and 2 in Wassa Amenfi Central have been gazetted to inform all those interested in legal small-scale mining to apply for licensing. Interested applicants can apply from the comfort of their homes through the online application portal launched by the Minerals Commission. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the Minerals Commission and the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program are implementing alternative livelihood programs, including oil palm plantations, to engage those involved in illegal mining. In the area of law enforcement, we've inaugurated small-scale mining committees in Wassa Amenfi East and West municipalities, Wassa Amenfi Central District, Takwa in Suyen Municipality, and Pristia Huni Valley Municipality, chaired by the municipal and district chief executives, who double as the chairpersons of the municipal and district security councils to assist the district offices of the Minerals Commission to effectively monitor small-scale mining operations. The district offices of the Minerals Commission in the area continuously circulate reports of illegal mining activities to the regional, municipal, and district security councils to inform their decisions and seek their collaboration in tackling this menace. These measures are supported by the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Mining operating in the area. Mr. Speaker, let me assure this august House of the unflinching commitment of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and my personal commitment to persevere until we are successful at constructing here in our country a viable, sustainable, responsible and environmentally sound small-scale mining, which contributes meaningfully to the national economy of our country while safeguarding the integrity of our natural environment. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. We move to question 1569. Question 1569. And the question stands in the member for Sisala West. Sisala West. Honorable Mohammed Adam Saparu. Honorable member, I said this is a specific constituency question. I'm not going to pass on any supplementary question.
Mr. Speaker,
yes,
this
honorable member for
national issue. It's a national issue.
Sisala West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources whether owners of the land secured for the Marine Drive project in Accra have been compensated. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the land earmarked for the Marine Drive Tourism Development Project, measuring approximately 241 acres, was acquired in 2016 by the State Lands, Accra, Osu, site for Marine Drive Investment Project Instrument 2016, EI 59. Following the publication of the executive instrument, several claims for compensation were submitted to the Lands Commission. Out of the claims received, the claim by Efia Africa Hotel has been assessed and duly paid. Compensation for 4 other claimants, namely Dream Reality, Vase Enterprise, Developing Women for Mobilization, and Spans Babcock Holdings BV, have been approved by the Lands Commission and communicated to the Ministry of Tourism for payment. The Commission is awaiting release of funds from the Ministry of Tourism to make payments. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, Spans Bangkok Holdings BV has instituted an action in court challenging the quantum of compensation approved by the Lands Commission. This matter has to be resolved before the compensation to the company can be settled. Other claims have not been processed due to conflicting claims. The Lands Commission is working with the relevant parties to resolve the conflict and generally contribute significantly to our national economy and the health of our peoples. Last year, our timber and timber species exports increased significantly from 302,183.0.6 cubic meters in 2021 to 343,440.081 cubic meters in 2022, representing an increase of 13.65%. This generated a total amount of 153,861,837 euros and 67 cents. Over the years, however, incessant degradation of our forests through activities such as illegal logging, illegal mining, wildfires, agricultural expansion, among others, without any conscious effort to replace them, has led to a reduction of our forest estate and timber resources. For example, Mr. Speaker, between 2010 and 2015 alone, a total of 160,210 hectares of our forest was lost. Yet, between 1963 and 2016, a period of 53 years, only 157,300 hectares of forest was cultivated, less than the amount of forest lost in just 5 years. Mr. Speaker, since 2017, government, through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, acting through the Forestry Commission, continues to implement measures aimed at protecting and conserving our existing forests while restoring degraded ones. We have therefore intensified law enforcement and deployed rapid response teams of the Forestry Commission supported by the Ghana Armed Forces, to clamp down on illegal activities in forest reserves and wildlife protected areas across the country. Reconnaissance, prospecting, and/or exploration activities in forest reserves remain suspended, while there continue to be a ban on the harvesting, trading, export, or import of rosewood. Mr. Speaker, we are also implementing the Forest Law Enforcement Governance and Trade FLEG Action Plan to ensure that timber on the domestic market are sourced, processed, and traded legally. To strengthen our legislation and regulatory regime, Speaker, we have laid before this august House the Wildlife Resources Management Bill to promote effective wildlife resources management. I want to use this opportunity to implore the House to expedite action on this bill to strengthen our enforcement measures. Mr. Speaker, while taking all these measures to protect the existing forests, we continue to pursue our aggressive afforestation and reforestation agenda to restore our degraded forests and increase the country's forest estate. Under the Ghana Forest Plantation Strategy, for example, over 690,000 hectares of forest have been cultivated between 2017 and 2022, far in excess of the forest cultivated in the 53 years between 1963 and 2016. This strategy is being implemented in addition to several others, such as the Green Ghana Day, under which over 40 million trees have been planted in the 3 years of its implementation. Mr. Speaker, it is fitting that I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, members of this House, and the entire nation for the support we continue to receive each Green Ghana Day. We will continue to insist that we nurture our trees and ensure they reach maturity. Other initiatives being implemented include the Cocoa and Forest Initiative, which seeks to halt deforestation associated with cocoa production, the Ghana Red Plus strategy, under which we are already receiving resource-based payment for emission reduction, the Forest Investment Program, which seeks to support private plantation development, the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program, and the Ghana Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Mining Project, which seeks to restore degraded mine lands. Speaker, these interventions will ensure that we significantly increase our forest estate and revenue flows to fringe communities. Ultimately, our goal is to move from overdependence on timber extraction to forest conservation for ecotourism development, as is done in countries like Kenya, Zambia, Namibia, and South Africa. We will continue to count on the support of this august House for the successful implementation of all of these interventions. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. So, Honourable Member, you take your third substantive question, 1572.
Mr. Speaker, I have a supplementary question.
Okay, I'll give the opportunity to ask the supplementary question.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Minister, are you listening to him, please?
In the Minister's response, he stated the number of hectares lost in our forest reserve between 2010 and 2015. He again stated the quantity of forest we lost as a country between 1963 and 2016. But something is missing here, Mr. Speaker. From 2017 to date, he only spoke about the measures taken to prevent, but he did not tell the House the number of or the quantity of forest lost from 2017 to date. So I want to find out from the Honourable Minister if he can tell us from 2017 to date how many hectares of our forest reserve have been lost through these illegal activities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, do you have the answer? Or you should come with substantive question? Honourable Member, come with substantive question. Then you can take your substantive question 1570.
Mr. Speaker, I saw the Honourable Minister making an attempt to answer the question.
I realize he may give answers that may not burn out of fact. So let's give him the opportunity to go and prepare better and come out with the better answers, better figures. So take your third substantive question, please.
Mr. Speaker, this is the sector minister, not the deputy minister.
Yes. Honourable Member, he is a sector minister.
And he accepted to answer the question until you asked him.
I'm saying, ask your substantive third question. The minister is not ready for the figures now. Minister, is that not what you said? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources whether the family that released the parcel of land on which the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council building is situated has been compensated. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council office is located at Digu residential area in the Wa municipality. The entire area, which also hosts the regional offices of a number of ministries, forms part of acquisitions made by the erstwhile colonial government in the then Northern Territories. Available records from the Lands Commission show that compensation was duly paid by the colonial government at the time of acquisition. The land is therefore public land for which compensation has been duly paid. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well. You're okay. Thank you very much. We move to question 1745. Question 1745. This time around we go to Gumwa East. Gumwa East, Honorable Desmond de Graft, pay 2. Is he not around? We move to question 1762. Yes, leader.
Right, Honorable Speaker, once our colleague, the minister, is here, I think we should take advantage and ask the question.
Well, ask the question.
Mr. Speaker, I also come.
It's in.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the said question that appears in the Hansard today has been asked already since February. So, we'd like you to let the Hansard department expunge this from today's proceedings. But before I do that, the last time the minister came, there was a question that I asked, a follow-up question, that he couldn't answer. He said you don't have the answer, so he will provide it later. So I want to find out from him.
Honorable member, if your question that has been filed is answered.
Speaker, that's why I'm pleading, if it is allowed. If it is not allowed, then I stop it, because he has already answered the question.
No. I can't allow that.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
If it is not allowed.
Thank you so much. We move to question 1762. Question 1762. Honorable member for Temale North, Honorable Suhini Alasa. Is he not around?
Speaker,
yes,
with your indulgence, I'll ask the question on behalf of us, just to make it. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources whether the Tamale Abuabo timber market has been sold to a private developer and same earmark for demolition.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Tamale Abuabu timber market, measuring approximately 7 acres, falls within a public land situate a line along the Tamale Haboya main road. This public land has been earmarked for redevelopment in accordance with government's urban redevelopment scheme to redevelop underutilized public lands to contribute to the socio-economic development of the country and give a facelift to our cities. Mr. Speaker, as part of the redevelopment scheme, under the stewardship of my predecessor, Honorable Asumachiremi, by a lease dated 15 December 2020, by taking effect from 29 August 2020, a portion of the land, measuring approximately 1.38 acres, has been granted to Fatu Kariban Company for a term of 50 years. The lease is expected to develop the land for commercial purposes only, for the benefit of the people of Tamale and its environs. To be able to commence with a redevelopment, the lessee must be granted vacant possession to the portion of the land granted. This will require the removal of some structures within the area. Mr. Speaker, the Lands Commission indicates to me that this is not a demolition exercise, as there are no permanent structures on the land. There are, however, a number of kiosks or containers that may be affected by this exercise. The Lands Commission assures this House and the population in the Abu Abu enclave and the lessee that all measures will be taken to make sure that the demolition exercise is undertaken smoothly. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Are you taking the second substantive question?
One follow-up question.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, we thank the Minister for the answer. The question was to, first of all, the first part was to ask if the part of the market have been sold. I thought the Minister's answer would have been quite clear. Yes, part of it have been sold, because even if it's a lease, if exchange money or something before you granted that 50 years lease. So, Mr. Speaker, I would have thought the Minister would have been emphatic by saying, yes, it's been so. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, may I ask the Minister if he's sure that there are no permanent structures on the land, because he said it's only kiosks and containers. There may be kiosks and containers existing on a particular property for 20 years. So when he says there are no permanent structures to be demolished, can he distinguish between that? Because he tried to qualify the demolition to say that if it's not a permanent structure, then it's not being demolished. But the member asked, because it's a member for the area, you want to be sure whether, if they are going to remove those structures, whether compensation or people are duly informed, so that people don't wake up one day and see their properties removed. So I want to that confirmation from
Very well, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the first part of the question, which is that I should have been forthright in saying that the land, part of the land is being sold. Mr. Speaker, I refrain from using the word sold as captured in the question, because in land administration and land law, the concept is lease. You lease, you assign, you serve lease. The concept of sold is alien. And so the word sold itself is problematic. That's why I didn't use the word sold. So, Speaker, secondly, the issue of compensation, I'll be reluctant in making further comments or detailed comments. The Lands Commission is working with the lessee and the occupants of these lands to resolve the issues involved. Because whether or not compensation is due, how much is due, and whether or not we should pay compensation, all of those are complex matters. And I wouldn't want to make any comment which will commit the Lands Commission or the lessee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable Leader, you may take the second substantive question.
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker.
1763.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources what the outcome of investigations into attempted export of 5 containers of rosewood species in June and July of 2021 is.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sometime in June 2021, 5 containers loaded with rosewood were impounded at the Tema port. Following reports of the arrest, a team from the ministry, led by my Deputy Minister and Member of Parliament for Achuma Webeja North, Honourable Benito Usubio, inspected the containers, and after going through all the required processes, the containers were evacuated to the Forestry Commission depot in Achimota, and the rosewood subsequently donated to the National Cathedral project in line with our policy. Mr. Speaker, the National Investigation Bureau launched an investigation into the matter. I am informed that the investigations are still ongoing and has not yet been concluded. Mr. Speaker, apart from this specific investigation of the 5 containers, on 30th August 2021, I wrote to the Minister for National Security requesting for full-scale investigations into the cartels involved in this rosewood business, and I'm informed that this investigation is also ongoing. Mr. Speaker, I wish to emphasize that the matters of investigations and law enforcement are within the remit of the various security agencies established by law. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources continue to provide these agencies with the needed support and cooperation to execute their mandate and to ensure that all those found culpable are made to face the full rigors of the law. Mr. Speaker, the ban on the harvesting, trading, exporting and importing of rosewood, as well as the issuance of Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora CITES permits for the export of rosewood remain in full force, and we have largely come to grips with the illegalities associated with the rosewood cartels. We will continue to work with all stakeholders to protect, preserve and conserve this precious endangered species. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, you may now answer question 1779. 1779. Honorable Member for Eurocrobo. Eurocrobo. Honorable Dr. Abetete Nyakuti.
Right,
you have the floor now.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources which companies have permits to mine limestone in the Krobo enclave, when the permits were granted, and which CSR projects have been executed by these companies.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, limestone is one of the industrial minerals critical for infrastructure development. Particularly, limestone is used in the manufacture of cement for construction and other purposes. For a very long time, Ghana Cement Company Limited, GHACE, was the only cement producing company in the country. The recent upsurge in cement producing companies came with an increasing demand for this industrial mineral to feed the cement industry. Mr. Speaker, exploitation of limestone occurs in the eastern, western, and northern parts of our country. In the Krobo area, in the eastern region, there are currently 7 companies with the requisite licenses and permits to mine limestone in Otekwelo, Pong, and Chinchine in the Yilo Krobo municipality, Pomponya Donya in the Lower Manya Krobo municipality, and Sedom in the Eswejeman municipality. They are 1. Ter Quarry, license granted on 7th November 2017. Cement de l'Afrique, CIMAF, license granted on 13th November 2018. Ajiman, Bediako Limited and Jekoma Construction, license granted on 18th December 2018. AJ Fudge Limited, license granted on 26th April 2019. West Africa Quarry, license granted on 26th August 2019. Pompoya Donya Mining Limited, license granted on 29th August 2022. And Claws and Halls Limited, license granted on 16th February 2023. I must, however, add, Mr. Speaker, that there are other companies with mining licenses, but which are currently not operating because they have not acquired all the requisite permits to commence operation, while there are others whose licenses have expired and are yet to renew them. Mr. Speaker, these companies are involved in a number of corporate social responsibility projects within the Krobo enclave, including construction of classroom blocks, teachers' bungalows, boreholes, rural electrification, among others. These CSR projects are usually the result of an agreement between the companies and the communities where they operate. Mr. Speaker, a detailed list of projects executed, those being executed, and others to be executed by the companies are attached to this answer, and I will want Hansard to fully capture them. Mr. Speaker, the natural resources of our country, including industrial minerals like limestone, remain the property of the people of Ghana, and we will continue to work with all stakeholders to ensure that their exploitation, management, and utilization inure to the Ghanaian people as owners of these resources. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Doctor, I'll give you one supplementary.
Yes, I have a follow-up question. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the Minister for the comprehensive response. I see a tall list of CSR projects which really amaze me. But my question to the Minister is if he's able to provide the permits and lists required before a mining company starts operation.
Honorable Member, may you repeat the question, please?
Mr. Speaker, I repeat my question. Will the Honorable Minister be able to provide a list of permits and licenses required before each company starts operating in the limestone area?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I heard my honorable colleague pose the question as to whether I can provide the list of permits and licenses before these companies are allowed to operate in that particular area. Mr. Speaker, I will respectfully refer my honorable colleague to page 20 of the answer I provided. And Mr. Speaker, you will see on that page that I've provided copiously the various companies, the licenses granted, the dates the licenses were granted, and for which reason they are operating within the enclave he's just indicated. And there are 7 companies. If he wants me to repeat them, I can repeat, but I've provided them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very, very much, Honorable Minister. We turn to question 1800. 1800. Honorable Member for Medina, and I believe his counterpart from Adenta has already indicated to me and has granted the leave to ask the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources on behalf of Honorable Francis Xavier Kojo-Sosu, the detailed list of state lands acquired from the state between January 2017 and February 2023. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, this is about the 4th time I am answering this particular question. Having answered the same question on 3rd February 2022, 3rd March 2022, 28 June 2022, and 23rd November 2022. Mr. Speaker, similar questions have also been posed in respect of the years between 2009 and 2016 and 2001 to 2021. Effectively, Mr. Speaker, therefore, I have directed the Lands Commission, the repository of this information, to put together the statistics from 2001 to 2021, a period of 20 years, which will comprehensively answer all the questions posed by honorable members, the instant question inclusive. Mr. Speaker, I am informed by the Lands Commission that a dedicated team has been put together to compile the records for this august house. Due to the manual nature of records and the volume of work involved, the team is yet to complete the exercise. As I have always assured this august house, an assurance I repeated on 23rd November 2022. Once the records are complete, I will submit same to this august house. Mr. Speaker, let me, however, use this opportunity to once again call on this august house to support government's effort at digitalizing the records of the Lands Commission. Once this is done, these records will be available at the click of a button, and we can construct here in our country a robust land administration that is fit for purpose. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very, very much, Honorable Minister. No, I'm not granting. Honorable Suhini, you were to answer 2 separate questions. You had 3. You weren't in. Now that you came in, you want to be heard.
Mr. Speaker, I sincerely apologize for my absence when I was called to field my questions on the other paper. Mr. Speaker, I got caught up in a committee meeting
Well,
with the
you
Environment
ask your supplementary question. Ask the question.
Thank you. So I'll be grateful if you allow me some follow-ups. I thank the leader for asking the substantive question on my behalf. Going through the questions, Mr. Speaker, I'll be grateful if you allow me to do a follow-up on the question number 1762.
No, my friend Suhini, no, I wouldn't grant you that if. So we will turn to question 1801. No, if it is supplementary question to 1800, fine, but not to go back to your own questions. No, we've gone past that. So we turn to question 1801. Yes, Honorable Member for Adenta.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise once again to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, on behalf of Francis Xavier Kojo-Sosu, measures being taken to prevent financial fraud at the Lands Commission following arrest of some officials of the Commission by the National Investigation Bureau, NIB. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sometime last year, the Internal Audit Unit of the Lands Commission, in the course of their routine auditing at the Land Valuation Division of the Commission, identified some discrepancies between assessed stamp duties and actual payments received by the Lands Commission. The said discrepancies were said to have resulted from underpayment and or non-payment of assessed stamp duty on certain documents submitted for stamping. Management of the Lands Commission constituted a committee to investigate the matter and make recommendations to management. The committee, after its investigations, found that some staff of the Commission, in connivance with others who are not staff of the Commission, were allegedly responsible for the underpayment and or non-payment of assessed stamp duty. Due to the potential criminal activities involved, the matter was referred to the National Security Apparatus for further investigations and necessary action. This led to the arrest of some staff of the Commission who were put before court for various offences. Mr. Speaker, the findings of the committee and the work of the National Security Apparatus has led to a broader investigation about financial malfeasance in the Commission, which is also currently underway. The officers involved have been interdicted and a committee of inquiry has been set up to further interrogate the matter without prejudice to the investigations being undertaken by the National Security Apparatus. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, several measures are being implemented to prevent future occurrence of such activities. A verification system to cross-check payments made on the Ghana.gov platform and the actual amount charged is being implemented. It was the absence of this verification system that allowed the syndicate involved to clear documents even when the stamp duty has not been paid or has been underpaid. The electronic land system, the electronic land information system, which was developed in-house by the Commission to run the electronic services of the Commission and which was exploited by the syndicate to commit the fraudulent acts, has been given to a firm to manage its development and update to safeguard the security of the system. As an additional measure, the Commission is engaging the Ghana Revenue Authority to streamline the stamp duty assessment and payment process. The Commission has also intensified its engagement with clients who have been advised not to engage middlemen or goro boys, as they are popularly referred to, in assessing their services. The Client Services Unit of the Commission will provide all services to all clients at the approved charges only. Again, Mr. Speaker, clients have been advised to make use of electronic payment system directly to the designated accounts of the Lands Commission to avoid any interference in the payment process. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge all those who assess the services of the Commission to abide by these tips to prevent these fraudulent activities. Together, we can build a land administration that is effective and efficient and anchored on the highest standards of integrity, transparency, and candor in the public interest. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Very well. Honourable members, we bring question time to a close. We thank owners of the questions, and we thank the minister very much for attending upon the House to answer questions from members. Minister, you are hereby discharged. Yes, leader.
Mr. Speaker, just an observation to the responses given by the minister. Mr. Speaker, you may recollect that when the honourable member for Yellow Club asked his questions, Dr. Albert Tete Nyakute, when he asked his questions, the minister was saying to us that he has really responded to the question earlier on. Then to the question of Mr. Francis Xavier Kojososu, the first one, 1800, question 1800. The minister went at length to refer us to the questions about the same question that he responded to on February 2020, March 2022, June 2022, November 2022. This is not supposed to be, because you are, the Speaker is the authority, the sole authority responsible for the admissibility of questions. When these are done, the Speaker, when this is done by you, the Speaker, or by right among Speaker, the class at table are supposed to keep a record of all these questions that are asked and responded to. So if the Speaker admits a question, they are supposed to benchmark it against that book in which they have the questions that have been responded to by the minister. So they will not ferry same questions or similar questions to the ministers. The Speaker, our orders so provide in Order 67(1)(c). Order 67(1)(c), if I may. That questions must comply with the following conditions. It says, no question shall be asked which raises an issue already decided or which has been answered substantially during the current session. So during the session, the question has been asked of the minister and responded to. It should not be repeated, because these things are done to the embarrassment of the House, the minister, and indeed the Speaker, who might have admitted the question without maybe remembering that he has already admitted a similar question. So I would entreat the class at table. As I said, once the question is admitted by the Speaker, they should look at their own records so that these things are prevented. The Speaker, again, 66, Order 66(1)(3) also provides that the Speaker, whereas the Speaker is the sole judge of the admissibility of a question, 3 says there shall be a questions record book to be kept by the clerk, which shall be open to inspection by members, the Speaker, and then it lists what ought to be done by the clerks at table in this order, in this questions record book. So, as I said, we prevent the occurrence of these matters. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Very well. Leader, once we've brought this up, what about if the question has been asked in the previous session? Because per Article Order 67(c), as you alluded to, the answer has been substantially question has been substantially answered during the current session. So what about if it is the previous session? Can a member still ask questions relating to the same issues?
The Speaker, there is a bit of a difficulty to that, because once the minister answers the question, it is part of our records. And then you know that Order 7 will tell you that questions should not be asked, the answers of which are in official documents. And our own Hansard is an official document.
Yeah.
So even if it's the previous session, you should know that because the answer is in official document, you shouldn't go there again. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Well, people are having different view. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Leader, I am closing the chapter. So, Honorable,
once I agree with the majority leader, if I'm minister and I've provided the answer already, and the speaker admits, nothing prevents me from writing back to the speaker to inform the speaker that I've already provided the answer. I'm sure that can also cure it.
Well,
thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the majority leader is absolutely right when he says that our order 67(1)(f) suggests 67(1)(h) provides that questions that have been answered in this house already should not find place being asked again. But Mr. Speaker, this is the reality. The minister has never answered any of those questions. The minister is basically saying that it is not possible to provide answers to the questions, including myself asking at the point in time, as to which state lands have been transferred to private individuals or entities. And he says that he set up a committee to look at it. Mr. Speaker, it's an absurdity that Parliament is told that since year 2000, we do not have a record for even 1 year of state lands that have been transferred to individuals and entities. And the minister is saying that until his committee works on a 20-year gap, he cannot even answer the question for even 1 year. Mr. Speaker, that is not an answer that House should have been accepted. It's not acceptable. There's a record in his office that will suggest that between year A and year B, this state land, in fact, what about the cathedral, the site of the cathedral? Some individual own land there. You've transferred it. Why can't you tell us those lands? I see this answer as a rebuke of Parliament to suggest that members of Parliament are barred from asking certain questions should not be accepted in this House, Mr. Speaker. The minister must find space and answer the questions. To suggest that he's answered this question is not true. He's never answered this question in this House.
Did he say he has answered the question? He said the question has been asked, and it has not even been asked just one time. It has been asked about 2 or 3 several period, and there's a committee getting the answers right. So we have to give him the minister's time. I don't think he has not answered the question. I mean, leader, I would like to plead with members to indulge me to bring proceedings to a close. I have to attend to some emergency. So if leadership and the entire House will agree with me, I'll bring proceedings to a close. Yes, leader.
Speaker, we want to commend you for the sacrifice made, and having regard to the time, also move the House to adjourn to tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Speaker, I so move.
Speaker, I second the motion for adjournment.
Honourable members, the motion for adjournment to tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon has been moved and it has been seconded. The question is, as many as are in favor of the motion, say aye. You are not responding to the motion to adjourn the House. All those in favor that the House adjourn to tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon, say aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House is accordingly adjourned to tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon. I thank you very, very much for your cooperation. The House stands adjourned.